Hey SK fans, Leonix here, joined by the lead vocalist of CLG. You went 2-0-5 against your opponent today. How do you feel about that on Hecarim?
Oh, feeling pretty good, I just kind of farmed all game, and then their top laner wasn't farming, so I got like 150 CS up, and I was just like, okay, I think we won this game, guys.
I know that Hecarim hasn't been the most successful champion in the game in this split, I guess. What makes him successful for CLG and what you guys did a little bit differently than other teams?
I think we just played the map really well with Hecarim. I think it really didn't matter what champion I was against. I got really, really fed because we just played the map a lot better than they did, and then I got to freeze it, and he didn't get to freeze it. And Hecarim's a great champion for when you get ahead. You're so mobile, you have that huge team fight presence, and I can destroy Lissandra. So once I got ahead, that game was pretty much in the bag.
You guys played phenomenally well. I noticed that on the map and a little bit in the gameplay, you guys are really on point. Where does that come from? Is that just mostly playing with one another, or is it just team bonding? Where does that synergy kind of build?
We have good macro strategy, and we've been working together as a team for a long time, so we're like pretty good at understanding what's next, and we kind of coordinate like when we're going to be pushing and when we're going to be grouping and when we're getting vision. Like everything is coordinated, and we're just on the same page, and it's just getting better every week.
I know that Scar takes care of the picks and bans. Lissandra was kind of a lockdown for both team comps. You guys had similar team comps. Was there any particular strategy that you went up against Team Gravity?
We didn't really have any particular strategy. We just knew that we were the better team if we played the game like without like anything crazy like Keen playing Hecarim mid or anything like that. So we just knew like, okay, once we got like the better draft, we were pretty comfortable that we would just be able to win against Gravity, and so we're fine with Lissandra first pick and all that.
I know that unfortunately you guys aren't going to IEM Katowice. What is your predictions? I kind of want to know. Your last international event was Cologne, but I kind of want to get your insight on that tournament and international scene. So obviously GE Tigers is a big. TSM is obviously going, Cloud9. What's your thoughts on the international scene right now?
Well, I mean, anyone can just be like, okay, GE Tigers is undefeated in Korea. They're probably going to do well. But I want NA to do really well, so I hope C9 beats GE Tigers in the first round. But realistically, like, it's looking pretty rough because I just think GE Tigers is really good. But I think Cloud9 has a chance. I think Cloud9 can do it. They get the picks they want. They get the draft the way they want it. I think they could honestly win, but it's looking pretty grim for them. And then on the other end for TSM, I think they actually have like the better bracket, so I think they could actually like make it to like the semis and the finals and then potentially do really well. But I don't know. TSM hasn't been looking like as good recently as they were like at the beginning of the split, but they're still really strong. Of course, Bjergsen's a really good player, really good team. They know how to like play around mid really well. So I'm hoping they can do well with that. And besides that, I don't think the EU teams. Actually, I don't know. Gambit are the kings of IEM. I could just see them randomly playing like extremely well, but the EU teams have really clear weaknesses from what I've seen. So if those don't get exploited, I think they can do well. But if those do, then I think things won't go that well. But I think EU will probably do okay, and then NA I think has a chance of doing really well. But I wouldn't be surprised if C9 lost to GE Tigers in the first round.
I know that it's very rare to see really good top lane talent in NA. You being one of the very few. I want to know what like you feel that you've been doing right over maybe the lower tier teams, what they've been doing wrong, and especially with CLG being very successful the split. What have you guys been doing right? I guess like what's your thoughts on those?
I think the best trait in a top laner is adaptability, and that's something a lot of top laners lack or don't use very well, like almost any top laner, because there's so many scenarios. There's always scenarios where you can just get screwed because you just got destroyed in the 2v1, you're super far down, and you have to find a way to be relevant. And there's other times where you get jungle pressure, you don't get jungle pressure. It's really easy to camp top lane and get ganks off top lane. Like probably if you look at the statistics, top lane is probably the easiest lane to gank, like most successful ganks. And that just means that you have to be a really, really flexible and smart player top lane because there's so many different scenarios, and there's always times when you're ahead, behind. Like it's hard to realistically always be ahead because of the threat of 2v1. And you just have to be able to play around that. And a lot of top laners are really bad when things change or things don't go how they know it should. So you have to be able to be really, really flexible. And I think that's something I've been getting better and better at, and a lot of top laners still lack, because it's just you have to have knowledge of a lot of things. And I feel like a lot of top laners also pretty emotional. I'm pretty emotional too, but it's hard, like like when you're getting camped like that and you're getting super pressured in top lane, like you can get shut down so hard, and like being able to play around that is pretty hard. And once you're able to do that, like you learn like everything, like you go like 0-10, you understand like how to come back, how to play 10-0, then you've got it all as a top laner. But like that flexibility is something a lot of top laners still like don't have like the balance of yet.
Is that something of a concern when Gravity decided to 2v1 you, especially on the Hecarim pick today?
No, it wasn't that much of a concern. I think Hecarim is better 2v1 and 1v1 against Lissandra, so it was perfectly fine.
Where does that Hecarim come from? Like, I know that it's been played a little bit in the Korean scene, and it's brought out in America. Personally, for you, what's, like, I guess the positives and negatives of this Hecarim top lane instead of, Keen's mid lane Hecarim?
I think Hecarim's just a champion that fits my playstyle really well, and I always love playing those like carry bruisers, so I was just like, I'm going to play Hecarim. And I started practicing him a lot, got good at him, and then I was ready to play him in LCS. And this champion is just something I feel like I can like fully push my limits on. I feel like I can play almost any style or almost any champion, but I feel really comfortable on Hecarim, and so that's why I decided to pick him up.
I know Riot's post-game interview, they asked you of like, CLG picked up 3 new champions. This is completely new. How many games does it take for a pro player like yourself to actually get to master a champion and actually play it in a competitive level?
I feel like a lot of players like only like actually play for competitive play like 3 or 4 champions like at a given time. Like it'll change over time, but usually people can only play a couple champions. I feel like personally myself, I'm like a very flexible player. I can play like almost like any champion. Like I could play like probably like 20 different champions and like have them be LCS level like right now. But it's not about how many champions you can play. It's about playing the best champion in that scenario. And your team can set you up for that scenario in drafts. So you realistically don't have to play that many champions. You can just play a couple champions and still be really, really good. So it's usually like wise, and what a lot of not top laners, but players do in general, is just play only a couple champions, because you're not always going to get banned out. And if you start getting banned out, then you can start playing other things. But usually only need to play like 3 or 4 champions at any time.
How does CLG's atmosphere kind of work like that? Are you able to say, hey, I want to play this champion, or is it Scar just designating like all of you, like, oh, you're gonna play this, you're gonna play this? For you, is it, oh, I want to play my top lane carries, or how does that work out?
Link actually does a lot of the draft, so Scar does help, but Link I feel does the majority of the draft, and like he has input from Zix and Scar, our analysts and coach. But usually I just talk with Link a lot and a little bit with Scar about what I want to play and what I think is good, and they'll work with me like a little bit with what they think is good, and then we'll just make it work in a comp. We'll practice everything. Like there'll be games where I'm playing carries, tanks, like you name it. I'm playing like almost like any style of champion top lane, and I don't know, I played some crazy stuff in scrims. Maybe you'll see it soon in LCS, but we kind of don't like to play anything too crazy unless we're confident on it and it's ready to go. So we have all these different strategies, and what Link and what the coaching staff thinks is best is what we'll end up going with on LCS day.
I know this is reverting a little bit back into your past career. Team Dignitas actually having a little bit of issues on the bottom side of the bracket in the standings. I mean, what's your thoughts, comments? Do you still talk to those guys, or what's that atmosphere differentiate like on CLG with you?
I think the atmosphere on Dignitas was good until like the later half of the split when we started losing, and then like the team atmosphere just got down. Everything got a lot worse. But I still like everybody on the team. Talk to them occasionally. Kiwi, and Shifter. I see them at LCS all the time. Crumbs, I see him every now and then in solo queue, and then same with Cutie Pie. So, I mean, we keep in touch every now and then, but I don't really like go out of my way to say, hey, how's it going? Because they're doing their own thing. I'm focused on my own thing. So I'm just, I'm not really like super in touch with all the previous members of Dig. I'm just kind of focused on what's going on now with CLG. So kind of, but not really.
Fair enough. Any future expectations for CLG? I know that the split is coming to closing very soon. What's CLG's future expectations?
I honestly don't expect anything less than first. So I would be surprised if we don't get first at playoffs, and that's my goal 100%. And I'm not going to underestimate any team or say we're way better than all the other teams in NA, because that's not true. We've still got our flaws and we've got our mistakes that we need to work on. But I'm really confident by the time playoffs comes around, we will be strong and ready to take the North American Spring Championship, LCS Spring. Or Spring, I said Spring twice. 3 times now. But yeah, we're confident.
Shout outs?
Shout out to all my fans, family, and my teammates for not only supporting me but the team, and I really appreciate everything that they do, and our sponsors for helping out CLG. Shout out to CLG for being such a great brand, and shout out to you for doing a great interview and dyeing your hair blonde. That's what I did. Looks like you made the same mistake too. I'd dye that back to black really quick because I don't know what you're trying to do there.
Oh, if that is the case, I guess I'm gonna dye my hair black now because you have put me in my place. So, if you want any more coverage just like this, be sure to check out SK Gaming on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Other than that, till next time, guys.